Welcome to the top 3 fastest stalemates in history. Now, we are looking at games that end with a player having no legal move, and I know what you're thinking, but King Henry VIII doesn't feature on this list, although he was a player and a king, and he did try all the legal moves, and all his mates were stale, but I digress. Let's begin. So, all the entries in this list are actually compositions. By that, I mean that the moves were invented by individuals, they're not games that were actually played. So I'm not going to comment on all the separate moves, as they don't make any sense in any kind of strategic or tactical manner. I will just play them out on the board. This third place entry has 18 moves and was created by Enzo Minerva and published in Italy in 2007. And to drag a pop cultural reference in, this game and the others in this list were all featured in Series 2, Episode 4 of the TV show mrrobot. Here is a clip to prove it, which I will link to in the description as well. This episode was interesting as it turned out that the main character kept drawing his games of chess because he was actually playing against himself, or something like that. It was quite a confusing show, but very well made. Now, in the past, stalemate wasn't always a draw. This seems to be a relatively recent invention. In ancient shatranj and other variants that we sometimes cover on this channel, stalemate was a win. And actually, I often see chess beginners being confused when the computer tells them it's a draw, as intuitively, it seems like it ought to be a win. Now, there are some people that think it ought to become a win again in modern chess in order to make top-level play more exciting. Anyway, the cool thing about this one is that both players end up with no legal moves. So you can see the pawns are blocking each other from moving, and these ones, this white pawn is blocked by its own white pawn. These are blocked by each other. This bishop here can't move. The horse is blocked by the pawns. The rook is blocked by the pawn and the knight. And of course the king can't move here because the king is blocking it and this pawn is blocking its remaining square. And similarly, all these pawns are blocking the black king's movement, like this. And of course he can't move into this square where his own pawn is. So completely stalemated in just 18 moves. Well done, Mr. Enzo Minerva. In second place, it's Mr. Charles Wheeler, and he was able to achieve this one in just 12 moves in 1887. Not only that, but he was able to do this without having any captures at all in the game. He kept all of the pieces on the board, so great job, Mr. Wheeler. I'm super impressed. This one has also been sometimes credited to a Mr. Sam LOYD, but I like to give credit where it's due, and it seems that Mr. LOYD just borrowed it temporarily. Now, although this game is a composition, it has actually been played in a real-life tournament at least once as a kind of a joke or a pre-arranged draw. I will link to such an instance in the description, but meanwhile, here is another mrrobot clip to where they play this game, and even a limerick. In chess, his wife had one ambition, to win under any condition, but to this date she has yet to mate, she can't find the right position. Now, it's worth noting that there are minor variations possible in this sequence, but they basically follow the same idea, so we will just count this entry as one in the list. You can see that the black pieces are not in stalemate this time, but it's white's turn. So if you look carefully, all the pawns are blocked, they can't move forwards and they can't capture anything. The bishop is blocked by his own pieces. This knight is blocked by its own pawn, but more importantly, it's completely pinned by the queen. And this bishop can't move anywhere. This rook is also pinned by the bishop. Queen's locked in, the rook's locked in, the knight's locked in by the pawns, and that's pretty much it. The king can't move here because of the dark square bishop, and it can't move here because of the pawn. So excellent job, Mr. Wheeler. And in number 1 position, the fastest known stalemate comes courtesy of a gentleman we mentioned earlier, Mr. Sam LOYD. And we know that he was a great man because he had a great moustache, but also because he achieved a stalemate in only 10 moves. Here is the matching mrrobot clip, and again, this game has been played for real as a joke, and I will link to such a game in the description. Interestingly, it could well be that there are some shorter stalemates than the ones featured here, it's just that nobody has discovered them yet. So if you are looking for a challenge and you have a lot of spare time, why not try giving it a go? And if you don't have any spare time for chess, what are you doing with your life? Mr. LOYD will need to have some stern words with you, I'm afraid. So we come to the final position. You can see the black pieces are all blocked into the corner, sort of shepherded in by the queen and this h-pawn. The pawns can't move forward because they're all blocked by the pieces, except for this one, which is pinned by the queen. The king can't escape to this square because of the pawn, and it can't escape to these other two empty squares because of the white queen. The bishop's blocked in by the pawns, the knight's blocked in by the pawns and this rook. The rook's stuck in the corner, the queen's stuck behind the rook, and this rook is stuck behind everything else. And that's it. So just a great job, Mr. Sam Lloyd. 10 moves. There's nothing better. I'll see you again next time.